Um, my thoughts are kind of confused, but I get the broad picture, and I said in another video that being was a thought which thought about its own affections. So this is the Spinozian view of God, is that um, extension, what we could call corporeal structure of reality, uh, also exists in the mode or the modality of thought, and there is a reciprocal dialectical interaction between being and thought. So Spinoza was partly true, but it must be dialectically aufgehoben by Hegel. And I understood in August 2018 that I was the whole of reality, but I made an intellectual error. I believed that this empirical self was the whole of reality, whereas it was my transcendental self, which is identical in every you, in every thinking consciousness. So this was a serious mistake. And the transcendental self, which could be called God, is thinking his own affections, his own emotions in a way. And as an individual, I am affected by the thoughts all over the world. So the emotions of people in the world, which are connected to other people, but also to the natural phenomena, because we live within nature. So it's a dialectical, interrelated web of consciousness. The emotions of the people produce their thoughts. Their thoughts affect my thoughts, which affect my emotions. And right now, my emotions do not affect anyone because no one watches my videos, or 2 or 3 people maybe, but I know that people will watch my videos at some point. And we are in a dialectical relationship of thought and being reciprocally determining one another. And Spinoza's teaching is that we should retreat within the pure intellect and leave aside all the emotions, but it's easier said than done. It's easier to say that we should not panic or feel negative emotions when the body is being moved to be affected negatively. But the truth of Hegel's philosophy is that spirit transcends itself and penetrate into the realm of pure thought. And this is my purpose, and I would like to recommend a channel called Affected Collective. And the person who made this channel was, to speak in Spinoza's term, a mode of the one infinite substance thinking itself. And she had positive emotions, which is good, but the positive only exists in relation to the negative. And she made a video about Philip K. Dick and his simulation theory. And Philip K. Dick is probably the man that I have loved the most, because he had an experience of being God. In his writings, at some moment, he say, I equal God. But he was not an all-knowing, all-understanding God. He was a conflicting God. He was anxious, he was worried, he was questioning, he was inquiring, he was asking many questions. And Philip K. Dick was a brilliant man, a brilliant intellect, and a very successful writer, but he had no philosophical education as such. He learned philosophy on his own, in a way. And in this sense, I identify with him because I have no philosophical background whatsoever. I learned it, to so to speak, on my own, not all on my own, because I just grasped the ideas of others, but in a sense I have not received a classical a college education background in philosophy. I had to develop my own thought, and that's why my thoughts are so confused and sometimes conflicting and nonsensical and weird, and because I lack the formal teaching of philosophy. But the Exegesis by Philip K. Dick is one of the greatest books ever invented, and the folder 20 of October 1978 contains the most profound ideas that I've seen about the Creator, the war within the mind of God, the delusional aspect of reality, the idea that God enters his own creation as a piece of trash and restores his own memory. It's yeah. So infinity, as Hegel understands it, is to be yourself outside of yourself, to transcend your own limit, and to recognize your mind in the mind of another. But in order for this spiritual infinity to occur, there has to be another in front of you, in a way. And Philip K. Dick, in his own view, he was a moment of God, a moment in the process of self-cognition of God. So even in his deepest thoughts, Philip K. Dick knew that in the mind of God, he did not really exist as an empirical individual. So he had this self negation process within his mind, and the one who enters the mind of God understands that all otherness are not really existing, even though they seem to be real. In the mind of God, there is only God. And so I will never be able to have an infinite spiritual relationship with Philip K. Dick and to say to him what I think about him and the infinite love that I feel for him. But this is not infinite love because he's not present. He's no longer with us while at the same time being with us more than ever. It's kind of complicated. But yeah. And he said in his God experience that there was a dialectical negativity within him. He said that it's killing me, this primordial evil within me. And as an empirical individual and as a transcendental being, I have a negativity within me. And the one who expressed this the best is Glenn Alexander Magee in Hegel and the Hermetic tradition. He says that at the root of all the forms of spirit that unfold in the phenomenology is a primal demonic drive for complete possession or mastery of the object, for, in effect, the annihilation of otherness. And by implication, this drive is simultaneously a will to remove the divide between subject and object, for by cancelling otherness, it seeks to exalt the self. And I have this dark will within me to intellectually annihilate, to intellectually annihilate otherness, and to prove to the other, any other, that he or she and I share the same spiritual substance. And this is negativity, but a negativity which must produce positive spiritual relation to self and brings about uh, a spiritual kingdom. And I am a conflicted being, and I'm trying my best to contain and transcend my inner negativity to make it something spiritual. And yeah.